Chris Pixar today with Senator Albritton, who is getting ready to run for congressional seat in the second district. He's a senator from Baldwin County, I believe, served in the House before that. Looking at his legislative bills that he passed, I was very impressed with it. You have almost a populist appeal to you. Seems like you really look after the common man. I was looking at some of your bills that you passed regarding Medicaid and stuff. I was very impressed with that, Senator. Was you involved in the?
Hello, I lost you.
The phone call came in, had to cut out.
Was I involved in what?
There was an abortion bill that we passed that was real strong. Was that one of your pieces of legislation too?
No, it wasn't. I may have signed on it and voted for it, but it wasn't my legislation.
Okay. What do you feel is the most important piece of legislation that you sponsored while you've been in the legislature?
Well, being in the general fund chair, I would suggest it was the budgets of the state. That's been the main crux over the last 5 years now.
Okay, great. I was reading about that earlier too. So, what made you decide to get in this race here?
What was it? Fear of how this district may affect and afflict South Alabama.
Okay.
That's it in a nutshell.
Okay, because you actually you have homes in both districts. Is that correct?
I do.
Okay.
And I have represented this area really since 2002, and then when I ran in 2014, I had 8 counties in Southwest Alabama. Redistricting has reduced that number down to 4 now, but that's where I am at this point. But in my lifetime, in the last 30 some odd years, I've lived within the boundaries of CD2, whether that be Sims in Mobile County, Evergreen in Conecuh, Excel in Monroe, and Range in Conecuh. I've lived in this district for 30 some odd years.
So what gives you the most satisfaction of serving the constituents? I mean,
again, I'll go back to how Alabama has changed its fiscal policies. The last 5 years, I've been in charge of the general fund, but prior to that, Republicans, and I was coming in a little bit later than that. I wasn't elected in 10; I was in 14. But lots of changes we've done in the way Alabama handles the funds, develops its budgets, and spends its money. And because of that, we made huge progress with the fiscal shape Alabama's in. Alabama's credit rating has gone up. Nationally, the credit rating of the country has declined. We need to reverse that trend. Alabama has stopped spending its money, all of its money, is putting money in savings and handling the money in a more conservative way. The feds continue to print, spend, and waste funds. We need to change that. That's part of my reasoning.
Would that be the type of legislation that you would seek to pass?
I think that's the most dangerous. That has to deal with whether it be our oil and gas policy, our energy policies, whether that be national security. All of that has to come with how we handle our resources, i.e. our money.
Well, that's great to hear somebody finally focusing on that. Let me ask you kind of a tough question here. I don't really think it's that tough, but I was looking at something the other day. How our money is beginning to run out in Social Security. Is there any way to salvage that?
Yeah, there is. There's plenty of ways of salvaging that. There's different processes and methods we could do. The difficulty is the political will to do that. I was in a forum just last week where 2 retired congressmen were discussing this, and I asked them the question, how are we going to do this? How are we going to fix these problems? And their comment was, we can't fix that until there's leadership and in Washington that can grasp this, explain it, and take appropriate action. If not, the country's fiscal policy, we're in a death spiral with this, not just with Social Security, but with all of our monies.
You mentioned something about Social Security. I mean, sorry, national security. What do you think that we should do, or if anything, with the ongoing conflicts in the Ukraine and Russia, and with Israel and Hamas?
Well, we're not involved with those directly yet, and I hope we don't get involved with those yet. At the same nature, we're not involved with China in a hot war yet, and I hope that doesn't happen. Our problem isn't one single aspect, whether it be Hamas and Israel, whether it be the Ukraine and Russia, or whether it be Taiwan and China. Our problem is that we're weak. Our problem is that we are not standing up and recognizing who we are and what our responsibilities are. We take the back seat to anything and everything that we can. America has got to be the leader, and until we are capable of leading in the ways that I've already expounded upon, they're going to continue to take advantage of us. I'm concerned with what the future may hold there, but I'm hoping that we can avoid conflict, at least on a hot scale, and we can get ourselves back on track.
Another question for you, Senator. It seems like, I woke up one day and the world had just changed, and now we have like 0.5% of the population trying to push this transgender movement down our throats. I mean, is there a way to push back and say, hey, enough's enough? We don't want our children sexually exploited with drag queen story hour, and go back to, more of a, I guess, I don't know what I'm looking for, a family type environment where kids are not exposed to these types of things, and quite frankly, us as adults not exposed to that, because I don't like having that pushed down my throat.
Nobody likes ideas or concepts forced upon them, and especially by government. Those things are difficult to deal with. I'm not sure. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I just don't understand, and this is one of them, as to where people are in regards to this, Chris. One thing I did do that I sponsored is when the Obergefell decision came down on the same-sex marriage thing. In fact, prior to that, I was engaged with our probate judges here in Alabama to devise a way that would protect our judges and protect our people, and not get in the way of what society may think they want to do. And I was able. It took me a number of years, but I was able to get a procedural change in Alabama's marriage law, which protects the probate judges so that the process can go through without them being sued or sent to jail, to protect the clergy so that they are not functioning as an agent of the state and can continue to do and perform those rights as their dictates required, and yet comply with what the federal court told us that we needed to do. And we passed that bill. And since then, we have not had any other controversies along that bill, along that issue. We've had a means now set so that people can do as they choose without placing those who disagree with them in jeopardy. We need to find more means of accomplishing that in a non-controversial way as much as possible.
That's a great answer right there. I didn't realize that you put that through there. So we talked about some of the issues besides the ones that you mentioned. Is there any other issues that you think that are really pressing right now that we need to address?
Look, these are 2-year terms. If I can get up there in 2 years and start making some headway with fiscal matters, I'll be a major success. Okay. The first order of business is don't bite off too much. Just take on what you can, the most urgent, which I think the fiscal matters are, and that's what I intend to do.
I'm glad to hear it's refreshing somebody finally talk about that, because people, and again, I get caught up with some of the hot button issues either, but it seems like, you're a meat and potatoes type of guy. You want
Not anymore. Can't afford them.
to, yeah.
Grits and beans, man. Grits and beans.
This, inflation, I don't know the end of that, when this is going to end. The current administration, I mean, it seems to me like we're flying a plane into a wall. I mean, can it get any worse than what's going on now?
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Right now, we're experiencing much of what happened in the late '60s and early '70s, where Johnson tried to do the guns and butter thing, and he tried all kinds of manipulations on the federal level to prevent and to capture inflation and prices from spiraling, and that worked for a while. But it didn't work for very long, and then it all fell apart and took off, and we were in a mess through most of the '70s and part of the '80s. I'm afraid we're duplicating that process, and I'm afraid we're headed towards some difficult times. I just hope we can avoid international issues to a degree until we get our house back in order.
One thing that concerns me, and it doesn't matter if it's a Republican or Democrat, but obviously our president is suffering from advanced dementia. I mean, is this not a very dangerous that we have somebody in that mental state? Because who's really in charge right now?
I wish we had better answers on that. I wish we had better information on that. But getting good information out of Washington, whether it be the economic data, whether it be what payments were received, whether look, I don't know. I don't know what we can do, and what can be done. Of course, the answer from a legal standpoint would be an impeachment and removed from office, but that's not going to help us with where we are. The election. The election is the key to how we solve this problem. People have to take the election and the power of government in their hands up and down the line, and that's the answer. That is the answer to all the trouble we're talking about.
Do you feel that, regardless of who everybody supports, that with President Trump's ongoing legal problems, that the Republican Party could be in trouble next time? I mean, we have a nominated president that's it's been convicted. I mean, what would happen there? I mean,
Chris, us Republicans, we have a tendency to get ourselves in trouble worse than a 9-year-old boy. We have that tendency and we have that history. But I tell you, my position is I look forward to serving with President Trump.
And I hope you get the opportunity to do that. Senator, I think that's all the questions I've got for you, because I know you're a busy man and you've got a lot of stuff going. I really want to appreciate you for giving me this chance to interview you, because some of these congressional candidates have just blown me off and don't want to talk to me. So when I write my blog up, I'll make sure I do a very good article on you and give it to you. And good luck in your race, Senator. And
well, thank you for the opportunity. It's good to talk to you. It's good to get to meet you. Stay in touch.
Yes, sir. You have a great day, sir.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.